Hey, everybody, welcome back to Android App Addicts, episode 542. My name is Mark. That guy over there, he's Door. I almost didn't know my own name. This is the show where we talk about Android apps and Android hardware and spying and Russian collusion and whatever else happens to cross our minds. And this week's show is brought to you by Chris P. from redoxide.org. That's red-oxide.org. Patreon supporter extraordinaire. Thank you, Chris, for doing what you do, for standing up, for making things count. We appreciate it, brother. Door, how are things?
Going as well as can be expected, which I know is like the most cheesy, half thought out answer that anyone could ever do. My brain is a little bit mushy. They changed the 4-hour training a week thing this week till today. Next week, it's Friday. The week after that's July 4th. So we're off. And then I have no idea. It's all a blur.
Remember, when I was in education, I used to try to remind the teachers of, that feeling you get at the end of an in-service when your brain is just fried and you've been sitting in a class for 8 hours. That's what your students feel every day. Learning is an active process if you're doing it right.
Yeah, and I'll say some of it is completely foreign to me. All of the programming, all of the coding, all of the development I've ever done in my life has literally just been in Notepad++ or Notepad. Never really used an IDE for anything. Always used, when I had to compile, use standalone compilers just to do stuff. Now, because of the private nature of all the stuff, I have to use Visual Studio, and wow, it's quite painful. I can see why experts and lifers say it is the best, in air quotes, IDE, the most full-featured set, the most intelligent sense, it's called, where it fills everything in for you, but it is the worst bloaty piece of software I think I've used since Front Page.
Wow, that's going way back.
I'm slightly old. Yeah, I keep calling the instructor behind his back the kid, partially because I know that every company these days that is seemingly at least moderately successful has at least a little skosh of ageism kind of thing. And it seems like everybody I meet from the company literally could be my son.
Well, I'm sorry, never mind. It just totally wasn't worth saying, not a tangent worth going down. So I'm just going to stop.
Well, I'm going to completely distract you with by just saying 2 words, 3 words: The Dark Knight. We had an app come out, and it basically emulates what we saw happen in the movie The Dark Knight, where instead of Batman hacking all the phones in Gotham City, this manufacturer of this football app, aka soccer to you American folks out there, basically in the license agreement terms and everything stipulated that he wanted access to your microphone, amongst other things, including your GPS. And what he was doing was he was basically randomly turning on your mic when he thought you were at a game, just to hear like the background noise and stuff, to try to determine like the action level of the game and who was scoring goals.
That's just bizarre.
Well, I mean, some people might say Orwellian. First off, I'll say I am so illiterate, Mark. I just learned last week his real name wasn't even George Orwell. After his first book got published, he changed his name to George Orwell. His name is not George Orwell. And to say Orwellian, we actually use it opposite of what it was actually intended to be by him. But it's almost Orwellian in the idea that he thought that we had to have these freedoms taken away from us, like violently, when in fact, history is at least dictating right now that no, all you got to do is ask really nicely and promise something frivolous in return, and we humans will give up all freedoms in all manner of privacy.
Yep, bread and circuses. That's all you need.
Yeah, and this gave me an excuse to show a screenshot of Morgan Freeman, so I took advantage of it.
So, speaking of Orwell, I had an interesting experience at 9:36 p.m. last night. I got an email from Google saying that that somebody had tried to log into my mark@elementop.com account on an unauthorized device, and that they stopped the thing. And the email said, "If this wasn't you, someone knows your password and is trying to log in." So immediately I thought, is this a phishing scam? Because my mark@elementop.com account is a LastPass generated string of gibberish that I don't even know, and I've never used it anywhere else ever. How could anybody possibly know it? I mean, I guess it was relatively short. It was like 8, maybe 10 characters. It was relatively short. So maybe they could have brute forced it, but that would have taken some time and some effort for a low value account. But I checked the email. I did all the basic sleuthing, made sure it came through the right servers and the SSL certification was right. And yeah, somebody apparently guessed or hacked or brute forced my password and tried to log into my mark@elementop.com account. So I went via a different link. I didn't click on that link. I went to Google, YouTube, or Google specifically, on a separate URL and changed my password. But that's the first time I ever had that. And first off, good on you, Google, for saying, I don't recognize this. Please verify you're you. And they couldn't do it. But also, speaking of 1984, that's a little frightening that happened. I mean, I did all the right things and still somehow somebody knew my password.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes the password isn't the most difficult thing to figure out, which makes no sense when people stop and think about it. In reality, all they could have needed was a way into the recovery of the password, or catch you logging into the account on a unsecured system that maybe had like a malicious Firefox extension or Chrome extension installed on it, or had you log in while you're on open Wi-Fi at McDonald's or something. I mean, there's literally a million different ways, but I know this, Mark, that gut feeling you get as soon as it happens is near terrifying. It is, because how far is this going to go is the real question. And I'll tell you this, there's an article, there's a podcast episode of Reply All, where they go through what they call the Snapchat thief. And I mentioned this off-heartedly maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. Actually, now probably like 5 months ago, because this was from November 8th. And I also am going to post a link to a article from Lifehacker. It's basically how you can protect yourself from being SIM swapped and what to do if you are SIM swapped, kind of thing. This is the same kind of thing where your account can get compromised. And the truth is, if your phone gets compromised, it's set as the recovery mechanism for a lot of accounts, including and not limited to your bank and other things like but knowing what to do if you do have someone change your password is maybe the most important thing we can review, like once every, my logic is 8 to 12 months. Just review what you're going to do. And I hate saying it like this, Mark, when was the last time you changed that password?
It's years.
Okay, now this comes with a caveat. NIST, the National Institute for Standard Technology, the same people who invented the word cloud, the same people who gave us changing your passwords every 30 days or 45 days or 60 days, the same people who said it should be more than 12 characters long, the same people that said you should add special characters, the same people that said you should add numbers, all this kind of stuff. They just came out with a thing less than 3 months ago that said, look, changing your password is on a regular schedule is pointless.
Yeah, the DoD no longer recommends it. The DoD doesn't.
Well, they got it from NIST. NIST
Right.
came out with it first, and it's going to take a while. But here's the thing: what they say is very poignant. It isn't that changing your password is pointless. Changing your password on a schedule is pointless. So what I would say, Mark, maybe this is a time where all of us should stop and think, when was the last time I changed that password? And if you have a hard time remembering when it was, maybe you should change that password. Because maybe they actually got the password from something 3 years ago somehow, and just now tried to log into it.
Yes, the only thing I can think of that it could have been, because I only use that account for email. That's it. I don't use it for anything else. But I do have mail clients, server-side mail clients that check that mail and pull it into things. I think somebody's been browsing my server files, either, authorized, obviously unauthorized, but maybe, an employee of the company or a hacker has been browsing and found something where the server stored it in plain text because I have a server pulling from my Gmail.
Right. Well, I hate saying it like this, Mark. The weakest link in anything is always human beings.
Right.
So having an employee on that site, possible. The only way you would know is if you know thousands of other people who are using that same service as you and asking them, has their password stuff,
right.
Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't, kind of thing. But also you said you were having caching issues.
It's true. I was.
So maybe you weren't having caching issues. Maybe that was a symptom of something worse. And all you were seeing, the effect was a caching issue. So yeah, these days I hate saying it like this, never take anything digitally for granted, especially your control over an account, an email account, a Google account, a Twitter account, a Facebook account, any kind of account. Anything is so easily, completely lost control of. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. And you may be thinking, what do you care if somebody takes over your Twitter account? Well, then they are representing themselves to the world as you. I mean, that's my brand. My Twitter is my name, right? And it's got my picture beside it. That's my brand. If somebody goes out there and, starts saying, down with the Jews, Nazis forever with my name and face on it, I don't want that. So
yeah. And if you're younger and you're like, hypothetically maybe going to be looking for a job in like a year or two, that might not be a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, some of the things you may actually be doing is probably not a good thing too.
Well,
I'm thankful that I did most of my stupidity before the internet was around.
Oh yeah. Testify, bro. I'm pretty sure I would be unemployable these days. Matt Miller from, I want to say, he's not from Tech TV. He's not from old Tech TV. He might be from ZDNet, but he's actually, in my world, from a quite high rating podcast. I'll say maybe in my top, I listen to 150, maybe in my top 10 podcast. Matthew Miller from Mobile Tech Roundup podcast. Last week, his daughter pushed him when he was sleeping and said, "Dad, I think your Twitter got hacked." And then when he picked up his iPhone, it said basically the SIM was inactive. Somebody SIM swapped because his Twitter account was twitter.com/MATT. The shorter the character accounts like that, the more desirable they are to people. So, twitter.com/Podnutz, 7 characters, not that desirable. And I'm okay with that.
So we have somebody in the YouTube chat room, Mark M says, but I salt my password, so I'm good.
Nope.
I don't think so, because I did everything right with mine and still somehow somebody found it.
Yeah.
I don't think salting is enough.
No, well, first off, you should never salt your passwords. The people storing your passwords should salt your passwords. You should just have unique passwords for every service. That's all you can do as an end user. And it doesn't matter because if you do, and I love saying do, if you do salt your passwords, make your passwords unique for everything, it doesn't matter, because then that means that's not the weakest link. Something else is the weakest link. And it's always the weakest link that gets attacked, that gets compromised, that gets taken advantage of. So if you make your passwords more complex, then you have to do your due diligence in other fashions. Like, don't use a system where people can copy your password vault and then brute force it.
Yeah.
You know, don't store all of your passwords in an encrypted blob on Dropbox, something you don't control. Don't store them all on Google Drive, because then if your Google account gets compromised, guess what? Poof, they have access to the keys to the entire kingdom.
And it doesn't matter how complex your algorithm or your salting may be, it's all stored somewhere on a server, right? That you can't. I mean, good servers don't store your password; they store a hash of the password, and they rehash it every time. But in my case, clearly that couldn't have been the possibility because nobody could have unhashed it. So you never know what's happening at the other end. If, by the way, if you ever subscribe to a service and they ask you to like give the last 5 digits of your password as a verification that you're you, run away because that means they can see your password. Don't do that. That's less common than it used to be, but yeah, your password should never be stored anywhere. But the only trouble is you can't control most of where your passwords could be stored.
Yeah, and I'll say this: I hate the business practices right now of LastPass, but they're one of the most trustworthy ecosystems of passwords that are in existence. I have full confidence that if I put a password in LastPass, they can't tell what it is. They just know I have a password for a site. They don't know what the password is though. And I'll put it like this. If there's any limitation on your password, if they say you cannot make your password 20 characters long, they're not doing it right. If they tell you you cannot have that character in your password, they're not doing it right. Any limitation put on your password like that means that they're not salting and hashing correctly. That's one of the things I did learn over time. So, all we can do is do our due diligence. And my logic is I have layers of passwords. If I can remember a password, then there's no way it's complicated enough. If you as a user can remember your password for a site, it is in no shape, way, or form even remotely complicated enough to not be brute forceable. Period. That's why we have to use either like something like KeePassX, LastPass, Dashlane. There's a dozen of them. But if you can remember a password, it's not complicated enough. Period. And I tried to explain that to my coworkers and my management staff when we were talking about unique identifiers for customers. And I tried to explain to them, if you can explain to me the algorithm to come up with that number, it's not complicated enough, because whatever it is, it needs to be so complicated none of us can completely understand it. Because if we can understand it, somebody can reverse it.
Oh, so that's Microsoft Access. It's the most secure thing in the world because nobody understands it.
Oh man, Mark, you have no idea. You have no idea.
Let me read an email from our friend Red Dwarf 6 who says, I saw a deal on a cheap Chinese cell phone. So I looked for some reviews on YouTube and I found one by YouTube Tech Guy that said, don't buy it. So I watched it. He showed a place to go to for info on Chinese tech called china-prices.com. It lists prices from places like AliExpress, etc., and gives specs on the items too. It determines your country, and on phones you can see what bands are available from any carriers. I thought this would be a great tool for someone looking for a Chinese phone, meaning that by bands he means radio frequencies, I assume, and not all phones are capable of talking on all networks. And then he says, tell Mark to loosen up and laugh a little. I really miss our buddy, the manager, Bill, aka Red, aka B-Dubs, as a talk show host here calls me. I know long-winded but useful.
Mark's never going to loosen up. That's Mark. Mark.
What are you talking about? I'm the most relaxed guy in the world.
Mark, just keep being Mark. I went to China-Prices thinking I better use this on a secure browser because some bad stuff's going to happen. But I'm going to say this. I'm genuinely shocked at the usefulness of the website. And I'll say this. The email was entitled Banned List of Chinese Cell Phones. Right now, 2019, June 20th, there is no such thing as a banned phone in the United States of America. There's no such thing as a banned phone that you cannot possess in the United States of America because you'll go to jail. It doesn't exist. The closest thing to a banned device we have is actually a Sony device. Didn't think I was going to say that, did you? There's a Sony Xperia model where the fingerprint reader is on the side of the phone, and it's not able to be shipped inside the United States because they believe it violates some patent that's only in the US. So any other phone is completely legal in the US. So it really doesn't matter if someone says it's banned or not banned. But here's the thing, okay? I've never seen a website do this. China-prices.com. Click on phones. It has a couple of things that I love, okay? On the very header, it has you can sort by overall score, value for the money, sort by price, sort by camera, sort by screen quality, battery life quality, performance, connectivity, and appearance. I don't know how they come up with some of them, but they have their own rating scale. Um, and then when you sort by it, you can easily see like what has literally the biggest battery of anything they offer. You can then click on any of these devices, and I do love the fact that you can literally scroll down, keep scrolling down, keep scrolling down, and then they'll literally show you AT&T, Boost Mobile, Cricket, Freedom Pop, Project Fi, H2O, Sprint, T-Mobile, Ting, US Cellular, Verizon, Straight Talk, Metro PCS, and like a couple more. Exactly what is the compatibility with 2G, 3G, and 4G compatibility for each of those services. I've never seen a website do this before in my life, ever. I always love gsmarena.com to find phones. But whenever I found a phone, I always had to go and say, well, T-Mobile uses band, is it 9, 11, and 14? And then I could go back and look at the phone and say, oh, it uses, and I had to figure out what bands were what. I absolutely love the fact that this site right there in clear English, in air quotes, tells me what is the compatibility with my networks.
Yeah, so I think that's what Red Dwarf meant by banned. He didn't spell BANNED, as in not allowed, but banned as in the wireless bands that it runs on.
Well, then he's sharper than me. Good job, Red Dwarf.
And so yeah, that if you're buying a phone not designed to work in your country, it's important to know what it can do. And so like this one, I'm looking at the OnePlus 7. That's just the one I pulled up. It's got 2G and 3G and 4G, but it lists out all of the bands because 4G is a nebulous thing. It uses a lot of different things, frequency hopping and all that sort of stuff. And so you need to understand what's available. What I wouldn't know how to do, and I'm sure a little Googling could educate me, but right now I wouldn't know how to know what bandwidths are used in my area to know if this would work. I mean, I would look at 4G and assume. That's really all I would be able to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Every area does use its own specific set of bands. But this is a good my logic like a ruling stick to just should I look further at it. There's more than a couple mobile testers you can put on your phone, and when you put them on your phone they'll literally tell you all the active bands on your network. That's for another show is what I'll say. So I'm going to definitely curse you, Red. I'm going to definitely keep this page like in my back pocket for when I'm needing another device. Right now, the Huawei P20 Lite running phenomenally well for the price. I still am a firm believer. This is the price of I could buy 5 of these in place of one Samsung Galaxy phone. And there's no way this is 5 times slower than a Samsung Galaxy. It is my logic. So I'm right now really good, but this is a really good site just for research.
Oh, and I hadn't scrolled far enough down on the page. This is even better. It says it has the mobile operators in the United States, so it lists out AT&T, Boost, Cricket, Freedom Pop, Straight Talk, Mint. So that's how I would know what's available. So it tells me what is available. I didn't scroll that far. That's super cool.
Well, and yes, and here's the thing. Even if this thing says like it works for 3 out of 4 bands of your 4G, that doesn't mean it's going to work perfect in your area. Maybe your area there's only 2 of those bands are being used, and one of them is not approved by the phone. So you'll literally only get like half,
right?
Perfection in speed and everything. But yeah, that's what I loved about this site.
On the Nubia X, whatever that is, if you have US Cellular, you get one band of 4G. That's it. If that one's crowded or not available in your area, you're out of luck. If you're on AT&T, 5 of their 9 bands are available. So that gives you a good idea of what's going to be available. So I would trust this phone more with AT&T or Cricket, which is also AT&T, than I would with, say, Metro PCS, which only has 2 bands, both in the 2 and 3G with no 4G. So there, that is super cool. That's a great, assuming it's believable, assuming this is true, that's really handy.
Well, the 2 phones I checked out by hand, I can verify it was spot on, exactly the usage I would expect with my network. So, yeah, and here's the gimmick. It isn't just phones. If you go to china-prices.com, they also have TV boxes and mini PCs and smartwatches. Tangent. I might have to get a smartwatch now, Mark. Um, I was browsing reddit.com/r/Stardew Valley, and I saw somebody with a watch face, and it was like the clock system on the game Stardew Valley. So I thought, oh, well, um, yeah, I might be able to pull one of them off now sooner or later. But yeah, drones, TV boxes, tablets, action cameras, mini PCs, smartwatches, all kinds of stuff at this website, china-prices.com. And here's the gimmick. You don't buy from china-prices.com. You go there, you click phones, you hypothetically you want a Huawei MyMang 8, and then it basically gives you a link out to a website like AliExpress or Amazon or SunSky or any of these websites to buy the actual device. So
I went to the drones tab and chose some the longest lasting battery with the widest control range distance, and apparently the drone for me is implode invalid arguments passed error in var host chinaprices.com. It's a PHP error. So oops. Not sure I can trust somebody who can't write their own PHP.
well, that's the beautiful thing is you don't have to trust them because you would buy it from somebody else. So, you know, I would say this, the best drone's always going to be the one that you build yourself. So, but of course that's also going to take the most time.
No, the drone I built for myself was utter garbage. So that's not always true.
Well, then you didn't put the right research into it.
I had a budget. It was more about the budget than the research.
And wow, DJ Phantom 4 Advance, $1,300. Now, if you want to talk about something being banned, DJI is closer to being actually banned from the United States than Huawei is. Little, thing going on there. Just saying.
I didn't know Xiaomi made drones. The Xiaomi Mi Drone 4K.
No, they make everything. They make washers, they make dryers, they make the toilet squirting devices, they make phones, they make laptops, they make
exactly like a DJI Mavic. It gets 3 kilometers of range, runtime of 27 minutes, and only costs $500.
Mm-hmm. They make everything. They are like the Sony of China.
12.4 megapixel camera. Wow. I may have to buy this when I have a spare $500 laying around.
Any day now.
Yeah.
It's just going to come flowing out of you.
Patreon.com/Android App Addicts. Donate to the Get Mark a Drone He Doesn't Need fund.
Yeah. One link I got to just talk about really quick. And it's only because, Mark, I think on a previous episode, I did talk about the documentary called The Cleaners. And it talked about how disgusting, how inhuman of a job it is to be one of these content moderators on the most popular social networks, whether it be Facebook, whether it be Twitter, whether it be any of them that are popular. There's many other ones around the world, but there's the ones that we know. And on Gizmodo and Vice.com and a couple other ones, they have basically people who violated the NDAs agreements, the non-disclosure agreements with companies that were subcontracted out to be content moderators for Facebook. And they talk about what I would consider to be truly like deplorable working conditions. Yeah, it's more than minimum wage, is like $15 an hour, but I can tell you if I got that job for $15 an hour, I would probably quit that job in less than 5 or 6 months. Um, you gotta understand that when something gets that many eyeballs like Facebook, when governments are looking at it, when all these people are looking at it with a very critical eye and demanding that there's some amount of curation being done, and they demand that there's a certain amount of um deletion done on the network, a certain amount of what's the word I'm looking for, Mark?
Moderation.
Uh Not moderation, but like censorship. That's the word.
Yeah.
When people are demanding censorship upon it, that means somebody has to censor it. And everybody who's been screaming about machine learning and artificial intelligence, you're really lucky you were not standing next to me this week, because I would have chopped you on your throat like I'm Dusty Rhodes back from the 80s. I would have hit you right in your throat.
Woo!
Because it doesn't exist. Humans have to do this. A machine, a computer cannot derive intent in these postings. And intent is what is upsetting people. Okay. Whether it's a picture and then a quote about a Hitler thing in a documentary sense, or a picture from Hitler and then a quote about how he's a great man kind of thing, intent is very hard for a computer to understand. That's why humans have to be the ultimate arbitrators in these kind of things. So humans have to look at all the garbage that's spewed on these networks and have to repetitively mark, take them down. Even if it's the same beheading they've seen 1,500 times today, they have to look at it again and click take it down. No matter how disgusting you can think, it's worse. They got to watch it again and again and click take it down. It's a horrible, horrible place to be in. That's why I will not participate in any of these social networks, because they're literally ruining people's lives, is what I just had to say.
Well, I don't think it's fair to narrow that down to just social networks. The internet is the place where the best and the worst of
No,
humanity.
these
get on
people
display.
don't get hired to moderate 4chan. They don't get hired to moderate Reddit. They don't get hired to moderate Google. They get hired to moderate social networks. YouTube,
But
Facebook.
the fact that the content's there doesn't change where it is. I mean, your statement, "I'll never participate because there's garbage on it." There's garbage everywhere.
Because of people. That's why I won't partake in it.
Humans suck without exception 100% of the time.
Right, but when you demand censorship, you're literally taking freedom out of the equation. I love freedom. I love freedom. Freedom of speech makes me so easily identify the worst jerks I've ever met in my life. And if they didn't have that freedom of speech, it'd be much harder to identify who's a true jerk. I love freedom of speech, online or in real life. It lets me identify jerks much, much quicker. And everyone complaining about like the YouTube algorithm engine, that's why there's a thumbs down button. If you have it set on autoplay and something you consider to be disgusting or wrong pops up, you have an option as an end user. You can click thumbs down, or you can even do better. You can click report and then thumbs down, and stop just making a posting about it, complaining about it. We have to take accountability for what's in our own stream. We cannot expect a machine learning artificial intelligence to clean everything up for us. And that's what people want. They think, just have it clean up because everyone knows that this is bad. Everyone knows that that is bad. No, what I consider bad, 2/3 of the world might not, and vice versa.
I just want to say one thing. If somebody would introduce Mark Zuckerberg to an eyebrow pencil, he'd look much less creepy.
I know. I think he kind of does it on purpose.
I mean, he looks like a lizard man, and it's just because he has no eyebrows. Give him some eyebrows. He'll look a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Just shade him in just a touch. Yeah. And one more quick I know it's not. One more quick side tangent. I had to send this to a good friend of mine because I convinced him to buy, I want to say, the Huawei Mate 20 phone, which is basically the Huawei Honor 8, same version. One's international, one's in the US. But he keeps asking me every now and then, is my phone still okay? Is my phone still okay? Is my phone still okay? So once in a while, I just preemptively send him a link. And this is the one I sent him this past week. And Captain Zero also did buy a Huawei device this week. And he was like, well, as long as, our government stopped fighting and everything keeps working, I'll be fine. Nobody has anything to worry about. Okay, period. Nothing to worry about. And it's only because the agreement was already made. Every one of these embargoes that can come up, that might happen, have nothing to do with devices that have already been launched. So my P20 Lite, my buddy's Mate 20, or Captain Zero's Mate 20, there's nothing to worry about. We are guaranteed updates for the rest of that device's life like we normally would. And Huawei's now saying, if you do not, we guarantee you 100% refund. So I don't know how much more you can have assuredness that there's nothing to worry about. And I don't know if you saw this, Mark. The president of Huawei was literally on CNBC last night. And he said, I don't understand the nature of the charges. They say that we lied to banks and institutions about some of the transactions we were doing to hide things going through what they said was Iran. Every bank person we talked to said that they absolutely understood the nature of every single transaction that we did, and they all agreed that not a single transaction was even remotely close to violating this embargo.
Yeah, it's just political posturing.
I know, but it's bad when the president of the company comes on American television and says it, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. I don't know what it's going to take, but I'm still loving my Huawei. Again, it's my way or the Huawei. The damn thing's going to keep working just fine. And there's now leaked speculations of the next Huawei folding phone because they're going to have their Mate X foldable phone coming out. Supposedly they're coming out with a second foldable phone very shortly thereafter. Smaller form factor, screen, blockier size, supposedly even a better folding mechanic, while Samsung still hasn't even launched their first successfully.
Maybe we should bring an app to a show called Android App Addicts. What do you think about that?
How about we bring app management first? And I say that because there's not a lot of apps this week. One of the things that I don't think a lot of people understand is that when it comes to Google Play, it actually comes with a decent MDM, mobile device management interface. They call it iframe, which is really confusing to me, but it's called iframe. And what iframe allows you as a administrator, you can administrate Android devices, force application updates down to a device, limit what apps those devices can install, and you can have like basically curated apps that if they want, they can put on their device. So it's a very compartmentalized ecosystem for managing devices on your network. So hypothetically, Podnutz were to give every employee, in air quotes, a Android device, I could literally say, I only want you to be able to install these 50 devices or these 50 apps on your phones, nothing else, but you have to have these 5 installed on your phone. It's all clickable and doable through this interface called Google Play iframe.
And I guess it's fine to call it iframe since the iframe has been deprecated from HTML for years and nobody uses it except your homepage and mine. So it'll be fine to, call something else iframe. Sure. And Apple won't get mad about that at all.
At all. And I couldn't figure out if it stood for something, and I can't figure out if it stands for something.
Infrastructure, right? I got nothing.
I don't know. I literally do not know. Okay, and Mark, you want to go to an app? I brought this only because it brought up memories of classic games like we did last week, like the Snake type game, and then we had like Pac-Man type games. Well, this one is called Traffix. And back when Android was first brand new, there was a lot of traffic simulator and air traffic simulator type games. This is kind of like the same thing, I'll say. We have to manage flows. Sometimes it's cars, sometimes it's trains, sometimes it's planes. I think it is one of the more elegantly looking management type applications, flow type applications I think I've ever seen. I think more thought went into the look and the feel of the app, maybe than any one of these apps I've ever seen in my life. Um, but yet it's very simple. And to me, it's kind of obvious what you're supposed to do. Like one of the ones is you're managing a roundabout, a 5-way intersection of a roundabout. And each one of those connectors has a dot on it when you can manage to say, you proceed, you proceed, you proceed. And your goal is to basically not have people cause accidents. But there's a whole plethora of different types of maps and interfaces where you can do this on. This was just interesting enough where I saw screenshots and I had to install it. And like some of them are literally based off of real world um exchanges is the word. When you drive up and you see 6 highways merging together and then with exits going to all of them, it's called an exchange. So yeah, some of these exchanges are real world exchanges. Moscow, Shanghai, New Delhi, Berlin. There's for some reason the Berlin one is just really simple. uh New York, Havana, Dublin. These are just I just found this utterly interesting. So I had to install it. And it was $2.99. Traffix, Infinity Games, Simulation, Pretend Play, 12 reviews, E for everyone, family friendly, no in-app ads, no in-app purchases, 4.5 average reviews. Updated June 12th, 2019, 61 megs in size, 100 plus installs, version 2.3. Permissions, nothing, just network access.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm missing here. I don't get it. Maybe I'm just too brain fried to understand.
And well, I wouldn't say that. I would just say it's so simple. The reason I like the game is you don't need to understand any advanced concepts. At every intersection, there's basically just a dot. You just look at the dot and you think to yourself, don't let these people go. And you just see the flow of traffic. And if you think there won't be an accident, you just click the dot. But some of the screens, there's 10 dots. You know what I mean? So you got to literally try to like plan out future routes. But most of the time, it's just click a dot. Oh, click a dot.
So it's kind of like the snake game. You got to get bigger and bigger without running into yourself.
Well, if you don't manage stuff correctly, it's very easy for things to build up very quickly, is what I'll say. So it can get to be a very long line of cars or trucks or planes, but if you manage it correctly, you're okay.
All right.
Okay. This is I don't even know if I would call this next one a game. I will call it ridiculous. And it's called Riddle Crack. The same company did also do a trivia game, which is apparently getting more traction than this game. But this game at least caught my attention because trivia is not really my thing. Riddle Crack by Ettermax, uh, under category of Word, E for everyone, does contain ads, completely free to download, no in-app purchases. Updated June 18th, varies with device, 50,000 plus installs. Permissions was Wi-Fi, storage, photos, and network access kind of thing. It's one of like when there's typically word related games on Android, they don't expect you to spell everything out completely on your own. They always give you alternate methods. Sometimes it's like multiple choice. Sometimes it's like the old word puzzle where you got to find the word hidden inside all of the box of letters. So they give you alternate ways of how to spell the end results, but everything is formed in the way of a riddle. So I gave this to my son because now he's out of school, and because I needed something to at least keep him busy. And I needed him to like review an app or two because that's what I do. Um, and he actually thought it was a little bit of fun. It was interesting. He said this was different enough that every time a screen popped up, I had to sit down and think about stuff for a little bit before giving my answer. But none of it was complex, super hard, super complicated, just basic riddles, figure out the word, then find the word.
That actually looks like the kind of game that I would enjoy. A quick, simple, standing in line at the DMV game.
Right. Then if you click on the company name, Edermax, Trivia Crack 2 is the one that is getting right now like 103,000 reviews. This is the one where people are loving it. And if you watch the video on it, the other one doesn't have a video. Some of this trivia looks really stupid. Like it shows you a picture of Einstein and says, "Who is this guy?" And underneath it says Charles Darwin. You know.
Isn't that the one that is like you play against other people?
I do believe that there are like time frames and groups you can be in, but I just looked at it and said I'll pass on that one. I didn't even download it.
This is Trivia Crack 2, not to be confused with just plain old Trivia Crack.
Right, exactly.
So let me jump into another email here. This is a question from our friend Kevin. He says, "Hello, gentlemen. I have a quick question. I'm looking for an app that can change my notification between two different locations. Here's an example. I go to work. I need my notifications loud so I can hear them. I come home, and then the notification draw loud, and it draws angry the looks of everybody in my house because it's too loud. I tried to remember to turn my notifications down, but I do forget more times than not. So I was just checking to see if you guys are aware of any or any of the Podnutz family members had any ideas or recommendations. Thank you very much. And still missing Eric. Thanks again, Kevin. I have done this very thing. What I do right now is it's a manual app called Quick Profiles that I just flip on and off. But as you said, you forgot. I used for a long time a tool called Automate It to do that. I think it was $3 or $4 for the pro version. I don't remember. I bought it years ago. I don't remember what it did that the pro version gave me that I didn't get without it, but it was enough for me that I paid for it, and I'm a internationally known tightwad, so it's probably pretty good. It's Automate It, one word, and one of the many things it can do is change not only your volume tone, but the sounds things based on a geofence. So when you enter the geofence of work, you can set your notifications to be one thing. When you leave that geofence, you can set it back to others. It also does things like I would have it when I hit a certain area on my commute, text my wife, "Hey, I'll be home in 20 minutes." So she could get her boyfriend out of the house, because I don't ever want to walk in on that. If she's cheating on me, I'd rather be ignorant about it. But that's the tool that I have used. I believe also Tasker does that. Tasker's a little more complicated, but it can pretty much make you toast in the morning. So I'm sure it can do that. So those are my recommendations. Dora, what about you?
I'll say if you want to use Tasker, I really ask you not to. It literally is going to give you a tumor if you do it. Automate is perfectly fine. You always say automate it. There's actually both automate and automate it. Both of them I like. I'll say for one reason, they're much more understandable with less research. With Tasker, everything seemed like it took much more time to like devote into it, kind of thing. Um, where automate it was much more simpler, much more easy to understand. There's plenty of other ones out there. I cannot remember any of the names. I know one was like llama or something, llama or something like that. But yeah, try out it. Automate It Pro is only $2.99. And I love the geofencing. I'll say this: certain notifications I download are purposely insanely loud, and then certain notifications I download are purposely not loud, which gives me the availability of not having to change my notification volume. When I change my notification sound, then the volume automatically changes because that's how the audio file is set. So that was my like little trick to changing notification volume without even changing notification volume.
That's a neat idea.
It confused me when I said it, so I wanted to make sure I said it nice and slow.
One of the things that I used Automate It for back in the day, I haven't used it in a while. I don't have need of it anymore. But the alarm clock app I was using at the time didn't have independent system volume. The one I do now does. So if I muted my phone, it wouldn't wake me up. So I had it unmute my phone at 5 minutes before my alarm was set to go off. Super simple thing. You just set a time there. And so I was just looking through the app. One of the rules I had set up did that. By the way, let me tell you the alarm clock app I use because I really like it. It's simply called Alarm Clock. So that's not going to really help you much at all. But one of the reasons I like it is it will launch an app for an alarm. So you could set it to launch Spotify or something like that. So that's a really cool thing. I like to wake up, and it has a gentle, so it'll start out soft and get louder. So anyway, just a free one there. If you can look through the many apps on the market called Alarm Clock, I'm sorry I can't give you more because once you install an app, it really doesn't tell you anything about it anymore. I'd have to go to the Play Store and look it up. But anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, very cool. I will say alarm clocks are very personable.
And to answer Guy in the Tub's question, I don't think trivia crack is just trivia cocaine cut with baking soda. I'm pretty sure it's actually mixed separately in a different formula altogether. But I could get Walter White to weigh in on that for you.
He would know.
You got another app for us, my friend?
Yeah, I got this app, and I'm really bringing it only because I've not had a genuine MyUI, and I haven't even said that word in what feels like years now. I have not had a genuine MyUI type experience on my phone for the last 2 or 3 devices. MyUI is Xiaomi's default Android experience. It's their customized Android, and here's an app called MyUIify, notification saved by Tom Bailey, personalization, 661 reviews, for everyone, does have in-app purchases, completely free to download, no in-app ads, 4.4 average reviews, updated June 16th, 2019, 4.2 in size, 50,000 plus installs, version 1.2.0, 5.0 Android and up. Permissions, this thing's going to need access to a lot of stuff. Everything that could ever be viewed in your notification shade, it's going to need access to, which is basically everything. What this does is it basically changes your notification shade to almost iPhone like, is what I'm going to say. In your typical iPhone, when you double pull down the settings, you get a much more graphically pleasing way to interact with things like brightness, notification volume, media volume, and turn things on and off. Android has a very plain interface when you double drag down your notification shade. This is just a way that you can theme it and add to it, extend it, make it a little bit different than your normal, is what I'll say. I honestly thought this was actually kind of visually appealing, is what I'll say.
I'm not a big theme guy. I just like basic stuff. I honestly, I'm using the default um, Google launcher theme. So yeah, I guess it's fine. That's what you want. But I did use the time you were talking to look up my alarm clock app. It's called Alarm Clock Plus by Binary Tactics LLC. So there you go.
It's a good name.
And let me read, I believe, our last email for the evening from our friend John, who says, Aloha, Door. I wanted to share a recent Android game that I stumbled onto on a recent travel trip. The game is called Armory and Machine. I honestly don't have a description for what genre this game belongs to, but I want more like it. I started this game on a short plane trip from Oahu to the Big Island of Hawaii, and I've been hooked for the last 4 hours. The game starts with a very simple console and one option of what you can do next. Tap, button, rinse, repeat. I really didn't understand where the game was going to start with, but I was curious. 2 days into the game, and I realized there are a lot more to it than I expected. 4 days into it, and there are bits and pieces that are slightly grindy, but I'll forgive that part. Please give this one a try. It's weird and nebulous to start, but engaging. I think it will be sad when it's over, but I'm hoping there are more like it. Please share similar games if you know them. You're welcome to share this email in the community, and I hope others enjoy the game. Mahalo nui loa, Island of Tiki.
I'm not sure I can find that email. I will say this. I do like the kinds of games where you have no idea what you're getting into. The more it can remain mysterious, to be honest, the more I like, um, because, it just means you're gonna have to be a little bit more engaged to just figure out what's going on.
I'm trying to find he didn't give me a link, but I'm trying to find it while we talk. Armory and Machine. No. Oh, we'll find it.
Okay.
There it is. By Daybreak Industries, Armory and Machine. I will post a link in the chat room.
Gotcha. Very cool. Definitely make sure it's in the notes too.
So the description says there are no stars in the sky. There's no light for miles. It is cold. The machines create warmth. The machines create heat. What else will the machine create?
All righty. That makes me giddy and happy to wake up in the morning.
Huh.
Okay. I'm going to have to install it just so I can see if I can figure out the hell's going on.
Yeah, it looks like a game full of the whole game is Easter eggs. Because I mean, the screenshots are a blank screen. That's the screenshot.
Yeah. Trying to remain mysterious, I guess. Yeah. That's about it. Well, I got one more game, and only because it actually does harken back to a little bit of nostalgia. Go figure. Bet you didn't think that was what I was going to say. And it's honestly nostalgia for the old game Myst. This to me was a very Myst type game. Eyes of Ara, 100 Stones interactive puzzle game, 71 reviews, E for everyone, $4.99 to buy, no in-app purchases, no in-app ads. So if you put it on your wish list, hopefully it'll go on sale soon. 4.5 average reviews. Eligible for family library, updated May 21st, 2019, 54 megs in size, 1000 plus installs, version 1.0.0, 4.4 Android and up. Content rating is everyone. Basically just needs access to photos, storage, network access. Nothing spectacular. It's your old style point and click adventure puzzle game, just made with, to me, to be honest, slightly better graphics than Myst. Not crazy, insane, hyper real graphics, but better graphics is what I'll say. The puzzles definitely look at least a touch challenging, is what I'll say. So it might be the kind of game where you need to literally look up factoids in order to make it out of the first room.
I'm just gonna put myself out there and throw myself on the mercy of the internet and say, I hated Myst. Hated that game. Hated it. Don't know why it was super popular, but back in my old days, I sold hundreds of copies of it to customers, but I hated it.
Yeah, I tried to play it many times. I always completely and utterly sucked at it. On, I want to say, Super Nintendo, the game was Shadowgate. It was like a horror based, same exact mechanics involved. You're presented with the screen, click around a screen. Oh, get a thing, put it on a thing, cause a thing to do another thing. Oh, door opens up. Same exact principle, but for some reason, I loved that game, but missed it. I guess I understood why it had the name recognition, but I literally couldn't play it more than 5 minutes without getting upset. Um, this, thank you, Google Opinion rewards money, aka free money. Because I played this for like a good 20, 30 minutes and then just told my son, here, you can play this. I'm not sure I got my 4.99's worth.
All right. So you mentioned it. So I have to complain about free money. I am so first world privileged right now, but I'm complaining about an app that gives me free money. You used to be able to combine Play Store credits with purchases. So if I was purchasing a movie that was $19 and I had $10 in Play Store credits, it took $9 out of my account. No longer does that. If you don't have enough Play Store credit to buy it, you have to pay for cash. So you have to only buy things that you have enough money to buy. So, it's fine if you're buying a 99-cent game, but you can't make up the difference anymore. And that frustrates me a little bit. And it's not just the Google Play credit thing. I mean, the opinion rewards. If you buy a card, a Google Play credit card for $10, you can't buy something for $12 and add $2 to it. You have to buy another $10 card to buy your $12 thing.
That's not good. I didn't know that. I will
It's brand
say,
new.
well, I did notice the other day something was different when I went to go complete a purchase. And I didn't realize it. And then after the fact, I realized it hit my bank card, even though I still had remaining balance and I wasn't sure why.
Yep. It used to say, would you like to apply X credit? And the box was always checked. Now that box is not there and there's no way to do it. And so, of course, when wanting to find that out, I went to Google and they have a thing in their forum saying, yep, this is a change we made, deal with it.
Not good. Um, one more link and then one more comment, Mark. We here on Android App Addicts, aka me, brought Nintendo Switch stuff to this show semi frequently, and it's really because they're one in the same platform. The processor, the chip, the single board is unbelievably like other devices that run Android. So unbelievably like, I had to bring this link. And first, Mark, you complained about Forbes.com ads. I'm pretty sure this site has got it beat.
Well, it
There's
hasn't even loaded yet, so we'll see what's happening.
there's at least 30, if not more, ads on this page, and it's basically a page demonstrating this modder showing off Android running natively on his Switch with Nvidia Shield features. Okay, so he basically took some of the core kernel stuff from Nvidia Shield tablet, and he was able to port it over to run on a Nintendo Switch. The hardware is not that different. Um, it's actually remarkably like Android. It's just heavily um, coated with Nintendo look and feel. Um, so don't be shocked if people here the next year will start to buy when the Nintendo Switch Mini comes out here very shortly for less than $200. They buy one of them and they basically root it and put full blown Android on it.
I only got 13 ads on my page, so I guess they like me better than you.
I just know it's like, and very slim article surrounded in every way by ads, like insanely surrounded by ads.
So you're not a cook, Door, but I do enjoy cooking. One of the things I
I cook
hate
every
most
night.
about going to recipe blogs is not only the ads everywhere, but first you have to read an article about this woman whose husband only eats red meat and how she has to find a way to sneak veggies into her kid's diet, and it ends up being this 15 paragraph thing when I just want to get to the recipe. And then you finally do get to the recipe and it gives you the list of ingredients, 5 ads, and then the way to put it together, 6 pictures of what it looks like when it's done. I hate that. But this is the world we've created. I've said many times that we get what we want, even if it's not what we want. And this is the world we've created because the click, the impression is far more important than the content. And that's why you see a page like this with a very small video, which looks like a screen capture of a tweet, actually.
Yeah.
Surrounded by 2 paragraphs of text, and everything else is ads. This is the world we created. Why? Because you're not willing to pay for what you like.
Yeah, it literally looks like something that would have been fictitious like 3 years ago, making fun of what stuff could look like. And it's what stuff actually looks like. But Mark, I literally cook at least 8 times a week. The wife does the baking in the house. I do basically all the cooking. All the chicken, all the pork, all the steak, all the everything. I cook. I despise 99.99999% of anything on the internet I find in regards to cooking or recipes or anything because it's ridiculous. All I want is to click. Fine, show me a picture of what the final result looks like. But then right beneath that, tell me everything I need to make it. And then right beneath it, just tell me basic steps I need to get done. I have to page down 15 times, and the amount of garbage is unbelievable. It is truly, to me, the best example of what's completely wrong with the internet these days is anything regarding food on the internet.
So there is a Chrome extension called Recipe Filter that will scan the page, and if it finds something that looks like a recipe, it will highlight that and bring it to the top of the page and put everything else under it. Just so you know, that's out there.
I don't know if I should thank you or curse you.
Well, let me just remind you really quickly. Once again, our friend 5150 wants us to remind you about Kansas Linux Fest, kansaslinuxfest.org, which is going to be from August 9th through 11th on the campus of Wichita State University. He'll be there, and he encourages all of us to be there if we can. I'm going to keep doing that until August 9th.
Very cool. And I'll say this to a guy in the tub at least. Stardew Valley on Android got an update today, fixing external controller support and enhancing external controller support. So I'll just say this. If you have a device like a GPD, Android with a baked in physical controller, or you have a Chromebook with an external controller you can plug up to it, it's near perfect gaming experience without having to have a full-blown console is what I'm going to say. Yeah, it's good. It's really good.
I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to be the collar man there, but I got nothing to say to that.
And I'm really happy you don't, because if you did, this would be a 3-hour show, Mark.
So I guess the only thing I'll say is if you would like to support our show, you could do that by going to patreon.com/Android App Addicts. Let me try that again. Patreon.com/Android App Addicts. I've heard some, recent chatter again. It comes up periodically about, how Patreon is not the most upfront site, or maybe they take too much money, or maybe you don't agree what they do with their money. As far as I know, they're the best site around right now for crowdsourcing support of content creation. If you know a better one, let me know. But patreon.com It makes it easy for you to give support and makes it easier for us to accept it. And we all got mouths to feed. We got day jobs, that sort of stuff, and a little money goes a long way. I hate begging, but every time I do, our support goes up. So clearly, it's working. It's like the telethon thing. The more you say the number, the more people call in. Patreon.com/Android App Addicts. Stand up and be counted. Pledge $1 a month. Really, 25 cents a show. You can do that, and the money is nice, but really beyond that, it's the fact that you decided to literally put your money where our mouth is. You decided to say you care about this show and the work we do. If you think we're worth $1, we'd like to have it.
Yeah, and think of it as bribing us to not skip next week or the week after or the week after, or the week after that. There are a plethora of other sites out there that do what Patreon are doing, but here's what I'll say. All of them will suffer from the exact same consequences that Patreon is suffering from if they grow to the point of Patreon. Difference being, I believe Patreon is handling the stresses in a very professional manner, in a similar way as I would handle those same stresses. There is no perfect answer when dealing with these kinds of things going on, but I think they're doing the right thing. Same exact kind of thing applies. I'm not on Facebook really because of the amount of people and the amount of everything going on it, the amount of eyeballs that are on it, the amount of federal insight that's going to go onto it, the amount of regulation that's going to go on it. That's why I'm not on MeWe. Because if MeWe would get as much traction as Facebook, it would suffer from the exact same fate. There is no way it cannot. People would be demanding censorship. People would be demanding that it gets cleaned up. The people would be demanding that certain things not be viewable, not be seeable, not be postable on that platform. And there's nothing you as a single individual can do about it. So going to contact me, don't go to some third-party platform and try to search me up. Just shoot me an email, aaa@podnutz.com. It's a domain I own. So if it isn't getting through, it's my fault. Not Mark Zuckerberg's, not federal government, not China, not Putin, not Egypt. No, it's me. So, I like that very thin veil of things between me and everybody else.
We are listener supported content. So let me go through the apps for the night. Managed Google Play iframe by Google. Traffix by Infinity Games.iso. Riddle Crack and Trivia Crack 2 by Ettermax. My UFI Notification Shade by Tom Bailey, Bayley. Alarm Clock Plus by Binary Tactics LLC. Armory Machine by Daybreak Industries. The Eyes of Ara by 100 Stones Interactive. So there you go. Thank you for reminding me to do that, guy in the top. Eight apps. That's pretty fair. So I guess all I have to say right now is thanks for hanging out with us. Dor, what are your final words of wisdom tonight?
Thank everyone for the support. It looks like next week it will not just be me and Mark on the show. And if you want to stay tuned to hear who that is. But lastly, I'll say, Mark, pick a number between 1 and 20. 40.
37.
Oh, Christian, I will send you an email. You won yourself a Google Home Mini that I kept forgetting to give away for 2 weeks.
Woo! That's Captain Zero, Christian?
I believe it is, yes.
Awesome.
I'll go back and look at the actual email, but yes. So I'll send you out one, and if it's more expensive for me to send you out one than to order you one in your native land, I'll do whatever is cheaper.
The last couple of times I've needed to send somebody something, I found it was easier just to drop ship it from Amazon. Yeah.
Trust me, I know. That's what I was thinking. Just convenience sake.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us, Door. Thanks for letting me be here. We'll be back next week. Then we're taking 2 weeks off. Just a programming note there, because the 4th of July happens to be a U.S. holiday, if you didn't know that. And the 11th of July is my lovely bride's birthday, and I like being married. So I won't be here. I don't know if Door will do a show or not, but I won't. So the 27th will be here, and then I'll be out for 2 weeks. So just FYI, that's a thing that's happening. Thanks for hanging out with us. That's it for this episode of the Android App Addicts podcast.
Okay.
My Way or the Huawei. I like that one.
Gotta edit audio really quick. Edit, de-amplify.
So Mark doesn't get it. I think I say that at least once a show. I don't get it. It's like my tagline. I don't get it.
I like it, but I don't like it.
Internationally known tightwad. I like that one.
Oh, I almost sent you a link. I forgot to. There was a college course offering a class on tightwadery.
Nice.
Unfortunately, they stopped last year.
It's probably too expensive.
Exactly. It probably cost too damn much. But I saw that course and I thought, Mark should be an honorary professor. This college.
I have been out of that world now for 7 years. I just crossed my 7-year
Oh,
anniversary.
Mark, you can take yourself out of the tightwadery, but you can't take the tightwadery out of you.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm still a tightwad, but the whole education, doing more with less thing. Yeah.
You do know part of me was envious at you.
Why is that?
Because I don't care, whatever, son. I literally got reprimanded for saving my organization money.
Oh yeah, you're the government. You can't do that.
Well, I know, but being a school, you have no choice.
Yeah.
You have to basically use mysticism and voodoo and chicken bones in order to make things happen without costing money. You have to work magic. You know what I mean? You have to do like Cobra Kai, and there was so much you had to do. And to me, that was such a alluring challenge. I love the idea of being told, well, we need this, but ain't no money for it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Is that what they tell you? This costs money, and then just trying to figure it out. I just always thought it was challenging, which can be both zap every essence of your soul away because it happens every single day, but at the same time, could be fun.
Yeah, for a time there, it was my dream job. Leadership changed, the job changed. The job I left was not my dream job, but for a few golden years there, I had it all, and I loved it.
And that's what I hate about government. It isn't working for government, but the people can make or break a job where it should be reliant on the job titles making or breaking the job. Unfortunately, personalities, have too much of an impact on what happens. And I'll say this, Ivor, you say Patreon is censoring content. I beg you, tell me one site, except for Podnutz, that isn't censoring content. Everybody is. Everybody on the face of the planet is. This is 2019. There's not a major site that isn't. Everybody is. They're censoring content. They're censoring comments. They're censoring everything because everybody is offended by everything. So to say Patreon's not doing good because they're censoring stuff, so what? Who isn't? Literally, who isn't? Tell me one site that is not. And I guarantee you I will find a way that they are censoring content. Everybody is.
I censor on my own site. It's called forum moderation. That's censorship.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's like saying I don't want to get in a car because accidents happen. You're not going to stop it.
Let's see. Let me see if I can come up with a little intro thing here. I haven't really been thinking about it.
Okay. Yeah, and the only way to not be censored is to be completely private, like a bulletin board system, a BBS. Yeah, that's the only way to guarantee no censorship. But then, of course, that's where they say that Nazis hang out or whatever. I think.
All right, here we go.
have it running?
Door needs a Stardew Valley smartwatch. Mark needs to take a chill pill, and Zuckerberg needs an eyeliner pencil. All that and more on this week's Android App Addicts.
Zuckerberg needs an eyeliner pencil. That's not a show title. I don't know what it is. Missed. That's good, but bad SEO kind of tub. If she's cheating on me, I don't want to know.
Yeah, amen. I just, I give her every opportunity to hide.
I told my wife, and when I'm sleeping, stab me in my neck. Get it over with. Get it over with. Because I'll rather be surprised that way than literally be walking down the street and seeing, anything bad. Trivia is not my thing. Yeah, it really isn't. Internationally known tightwad. Is tightwad a compound word? I think it is.
It is.
It is.
At least I always made it one.
Mark poo-poos everything. Marts hate the internet and missed. Oh, man. I am so first world privileged. Oh. Zuckerberg needs first world privileged eyeliner advice. I don't know. I don't know if I should thank you or hate you.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I don't know if I should thank you or hate you.
Yeah, that'll get people's attention.
Yeah, I do like that one. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I'm noticing being old on the internet. The more eyeballs on something, the more likely freedoms will be limited, is what I'm seeing. And don't get me wrong, it's not good or bad. Sometimes limiting freedoms is a good thing. But when I'm involved, I don't want my freedoms ever limited. So, And they're both whiners. The people on the left whine just as hard as the people on the right. That's about the only thing they're good at is complaining.
I do not.
Everybody complains. And because we all cast ourselves as the good guys, as the hero on the hero's journey.
I tried to explain that concept to somebody today, that in all the world there's only one story.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Well, and I'll say this, it's timing. You got to hit somebody with that at the right time or else you'll get stonewalled. I found that out. You know what I mean? And you got to make sure that, like, I don't want to say they're ready for it, but if you get people in the wrong mindset, you can tell them anything. They ain't going to believe you. I'm still tempted to do the, 2-week-old news podcast where I just go back 2 weeks, go over the news and just how inaccurate everything was and how pointless everything was. In Hong Kong, I think it's hilarious. Hong Kong people say, an individual third party say, up to 2 million people this past weekend. Hong Kong government, it was only about 300,000.
I have a great title for your podcast. Reaction videos are big right now on YouTube. You could call it the reaction because you're reacting to how people reacted to the news.
Reaction. Yeah. And like the person that died, like there's been a couple deaths, but the one notable death in the whole Hong Kong thing Did you hear what he was doing and how he died?
No.
Wasn't even from the police. He was hanging up a banner and he fell and he died. And that's why one day everybody changed from wearing black to from wearing white to wearing black, because he was the martyr. He wasn't even because of police violence. It was because he slipped hanging up a banner to protest, and now he's the martyr. If that's not, I don't know, man, that to me is like, if that's the worst thing that's happening from that government, and it's bringing people together to try to make positive change. Wow. 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 You know, America. F yeah.
No, it's just Merca.
America. I know. And I mean, I, is it me, or are political campaigns getting longer and longer, Mark?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, used to you would campaign for about a year before the election. Now
Right.
you campaign starting the day after you take office.
Well, I didn't know this. The day he was inaugurated, he put in his paperwork for 2020.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that escalated quickly.
I think I don't know. It's easy to say this, but it may just be the age in which I came of age and started paying attention. But I think that really kind of started with Clinton. He was the first to spend his entire presidential term campaigning for president.
I'm not going to say you're wrong. His best trait was his speech giving, his public persona. His management of his public persona was near epic, which just lended itself towards campaigning. He, to me, was the first president who was clearly better at campaigning than at presidenting.
Yeah. I mean, he spent his entire presidency campaigning for president. And
Yeah.
now, I mean, since then, every president has done that.
Yes, yes.
But I think he set the presidential precedent.
Yeah, because before him, I don't think they did. I really don't think they did. And I don't know. It might be an age thing, like you said. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
For all
entirely
I
possible.
know,
It's just because that's when I started paying attention.
yeah, I mean, for all I know, Reagan did it. I don't know. I saw a picture of Reagan I thought was hilarious. It was him with the Democratic leader from Congress and the Republican minority leader sitting there in a table for three with beers. I'm thinking, that's never going to happen again.
Hmm.
Ever.
No, Trump would be hamburgers.
That'll be McDonald's. Well, yeah, and did you hear why he said he really eats McDonald's more than anything else?
No, I didn't.
It's a fear of poisoning. He knows if he walks into a McDonald's and orders a burger, they don't have time to poison that burger. Where if he sits down at a restaurant and orders something, they have plenty of time to poison me.
Interesting.
And I can't say he's wrong. His logic is not flawed. If I go into McDonald's and I order a burger, it's already made, it can't be poisoned.
Yeah, he should literally be the most secure person in the country, though.
Well, yeah, I know. I do have your audio.
All right. And I am going to say goodnight.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. So let me just do this really quick. So the 27th, you're here, and then 2 weeks, you're gone.
Correct.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I heard. I got it.
And one of those, presumably, you're going to. You're going to be watching fireworks.
Well, Mark, I am the most anti-firework person in the history of the world. I happen to know for a fact there are 3 people within my vision, which are veterans who have PTSD, and I try to beg people around me, please stop doing fireworks. You're literally putting these people into a traumatic state. Nobody listens to me. Go to a place where they have fireworks. That's why they have dedicated places.
That's what I do.
Right. And but my wife keeps wanting to buy stuff. And of course, why would she listen to me? She's only my wife.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of think you just got to learn to live in the world. I understand it's insensitive, but it's also a 2-century-old tradition, and I understand the
Oh,
PTSD
so was
involved.
raping and pillaging.
Yeah,
Doesn't mean we should all accept it and do it. Think there's a soft spot in the middle. You know?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm having a hard time saying that people who do it are wrong. It's a couple of times a year.
I know.
Everybody knows when it's going to be. I mean, those people could go out to the desert for the day.
Well, the one guy I know who I spoke to a lot said quite literally, "I plan my vacation around it."
Yeah.
I
So,
I I literally go to like Mexico or Caribbean islands and stuff. I'm like, well, there you go. Somebody has the ability to plan ahead.
all right, I'm out. Later.
Right, sir.
Bye, YouTube guys. I'm pointing at you over here because that's where you are on my world, but that's you. Bye.
Okay. Yeah, I live right next to Aberdeen Proving Ground, which is the official base of the United States Army for testing munitions, bombs. So yes, when I take off work all day, all I hear is exploding sounds off in the distance. I gotta run upstairs. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. And while I'm upstairs, I gotta check on the kids because they ain't got school anymore. I don't trust them. And everybody's up. And I have to begin the upload of the video, bookmark the apps. Not bookmark, sorry. Document the apps in the spreadsheet. Thus, giving myself the home in order to copy paste it for all the show notes and stuff. And I will say, I am still deathly appalled at some of these podcast notes. They suck. They're horrible. I cannot believe people don't belligerently complain to like 150 podcasts, 130 of them I listen to have some of the worst notes I've ever seen in my life. They don't even pertain to the show, or they're literally like 8 words long for a 2-hour podcast. I don't understand what's going on. I don't know what they expect, but I hope that people who have to suffer with that kind of stuff literally tries to contact these shows and complain because it's horrible. It is not acceptable to me. It's completely not acceptable to have such poor notes in a podcast. And I don't think I do great. That's the whole thing. I think I just do normal. I think I do fine by documenting all these apps. Did this? Yep, it didn't. Okay, so I missed at least 2 notes. So let's do this right. How to prevent SIM swaps. I'm going to tell you, man, listen to these podcasts about getting SIM swapped. Whew, man. Talk about vulnerable. If you can have this happen to you and it doesn't cause a lot of stress, wow. Because I tell you, when I go to these sites, it's kind of amazing how much I'm relying on all this stuff to just work right. I did have a couple times back in the past where my email was going crazy, hit with spam and stuff. And that was bad enough. And that really wasn't bad in comparison to getting identity taken, my Google account or something like that, or my website getting pwned. I did have the Podnutz forums pwned at least once in the past. I was able to really quickly restore like a week old database, and then I figured out what files I had to delete to make sure it wouldn't happen again. But yeah, digital security is so bad. And I do blame passwords as part of the issue. There needs to be a better method of authentication than usernames and passwords because they all rely on the same thing, email addresses or phone numbers to send re-authentication traffic to. So if they get your email account or your phone number, then all they got to do is ask for a password reset and voila, they have everything. They have the keys to the kingdom. That's kind of scary in my opinion. Steve Gibson is promising his squirrel at least going to be one possible answer into this, what I consider to be a dramatically hard thing to answer. We'll see if he's actually able to pull it off. He just released like a non-alpha version, I think last week. And I'll say from downloading his code and executable for nearly 20 years now, when he does something right, he does something uncommonly right. And he's definitely thought out authentication maybe better than any other company or small company can even imagine it. I know he's gotten kudos from security professionals, encryption professionals, at least privately, about what he's done. Alarm clock plus. I have an alarm clock. It's my wife. And if I try to replace her, that won't end well. Armory and Machine. I gotta at least try that. So after documenting it, after copying the URL, after copying the avatar image, I actually like that image. I'm going to copy that URL down. No, right here, click install. Verify my password. Like that. And say install to my Huawei. The names almost never match up. Only some of the devices do they actually match up. Okay. The Eyes of Ara. See, 14 links. 14 links. I cannot tell you of a show that will list 14 links in their show and they all actually work. Sorry, 15. And they all actually link to actual genuine content and they're not just support me links. Yeah, 15 links. I do have to go in and revise some of the links though. That I do know. Because I need to add in the header of the notes links to like Google Play podcast links and stuff like that. And I keep forgetting to do that. Okay, upload video. Go in. We need to sort by name. Edit 541. Copy. Edit the new one. Paste. Change it to 542. Okay, now we need to go to the upload. DoorToDoorGeek. 542. Now comes the interesting part. We need to come to videos. Okay, I'm going to come to live. I'm going to come to studio. Yep. The new YouTube studio is surprisingly usable. Sorry, I'm just not checking in on the chats while I do this because brain hurts when I do this kind of stuff. I got to make sure I focus like I'm a karate guy trying to break through, like 10 pieces of ice at once. Replace all. Badang, that looks good. Now we got to come here, come to the live control room, copy, come back to the links. Oh, yeah. I tell you, man, if Eric was here, I know one thing. He would say he's really happy about stuff that we're doing. Yep. Yep. He's awesome. Okay, we can close that now. I need to come here, and I think I got to click. Yeah, baby. Copy. Paste the tags. The tags are always the difficult part for me to find. DoorToDoorGeek, Nextcloud, DDG, website, images, AAA. Why does it look like that never takes the first time? I got to do it again. There you go. Okay. This is going to be a unlisted, not a private, unlisted feed. That's right. Processing 0%. Let's just let it go. Let me see this. YouTube Studio should definitely not be 0%. Processing 0%. Maybe it's already uploaded. Now it's just processing. That's only mildly scary. Oh my goodness, you guys have been chatty. Yes, I'm in Maryland. Yeah, sorry. I'm in Maryland. New York time is what I always tell people because if there's any time zone people know, it's New York time. Yeah, Josh. New Zealand. It's truly an international show. And honestly, I love the fact that the two people that piped up saying about being on AA are both non-US people, Ivor and Joshua, because I don't need any more US people on the show, is the real truth. I've had enough US people here on the show. Let's get some other people. And New Zealand time zone, I want to say is 12 hours ahead of us. It's 14:4. Yeah, so it's 2 p.m. Oh, so it's 8. So it's 8 minus 24, 16 hours different. 16 hours different. Oh my goodness. I don't celebrate 4th of July, Ivor. I don't. I don't. Processing 72%. I feel much better now. Okay. So now I got to come over here. Silicon Dream. When Google auto transmits broadcast detects something searching, it will be fantastic. It feels like sea change for password replacement is on the horizon. I do think so. I do think you're right. I think we're all going to have to now start to periodically on our own change passwords, but most importantly, I think passwords are going to become less important. We're going to have more stuff like hardware tokens. Like the one I use every day is like a 5-year-old now, I think, YubiKey. It does not have NFC. It doesn't have a lot of the features with it, but it's programmable and can do 2 different things at once. This to me is like the first stage of what can be considered true 2-factor authentication. Unfortunately, most people don't utilize it correctly. I do think Steve Gibson's idea is going to push the big companies in order to make a big change, because really it's going to take somebody like Facebook or Google to try to change how password authentic correction change how authentication is done for everyone to change. And because once they change, no one else is going to have a choice, and they're going to have to change or else be dead to the rest of the world. Okay, launching up the virtual box. I guess I'm going to come here and say share screen, because I believe it should be all completely safe and nothing important being transcribed. And yes, Joshua, I'm drinking Yingling in a can because I'm physically close to the Yingling brewery, less than, I want to say, 60 miles. And it's the oldest, most continuous brewery brewing beer in the United States of America. Mark. So to me, it's good beer. Okay. SMB, local IP address. No password required, because who needs security when you're on your own network? And if you don't trust your own network, you got problems. I trust my own security. Ain't a single Windows device on my network. Ain't a single Apple device on my network. I personally authenticated every device on my network, and I personally manage every device on my network. And I'm getting ready to have a second Wi-Fi access point just to put the kids on their own access point, because I don't trust them. Windows 95 machine. My goodness, you're asking for trouble. Okay. I don't like this audio looking here. And I always forget. I got to come here for some reason. Open volume. Clone. Phone. I got a phone. Makes no sense. Okay. That was just me coughing. So that was before the show. So amplify. Yeah, Ivor, if you're still here, I'm going to say this, and for both you and Josh, basically. First episode, whatever you guys, any new host is on, it's a Johnny Carson effect, which means I don't expect perfection, nor do I expect, tremendously fantastic audio quality. What I expect is a desire to be on the show. Nothing more, nothing more, nothing less. I expect a desire to be on the show. I expect to not babysit anyone and harass them about, are you on tonight? Are you on tonight? Are you on tonight? I expect them to tell me as soon as they understand that they are going to be late, or possibly not be on a show. The sooner anyone tells me these kinds of things, the less of a reason I have to be a jerk. And the more you can protect yourself from me being a jerk, the better all parties are going to be. I'm never going to tell anybody, get up, it's time to be on the show. Get this, you're going to be on a show. No, I want everyone else to show initiative to want to be on a show. I never have any time to sit down with anybody for any length of time and figure out anything. I don't have time. If I had time, I wouldn't be doing podcasting. Every half an hour I have of free time is spent sitting down doing a podcast. That's why I say, if you guys want to test your audio, quite literally, half an hour, 40 minutes before a show, we can connect. And if your audio is good, we can do a show. Because if I connect with you and your audio sounds good, and then 2 days later, 5 days later, whatever, we connect then to do a show and your audio is different, I'm going to be really upset because we had everything right and now it's not. That's why I say we can test right before a show. And if the audio is fine right before a show, we hit record, we do a show. And if the audio isn't stellar, there's no big deal. Because we announce to the listeners that, we have a new guest on the show. So they should expect, not absolute perfection. But the logic is, if you want to come back on and come back on and come back on by, the fifth or eighth time or something, your audio will be better. Your audio will be cleaner. Not only will that happen, but your delivery will also mature. And the real goal is mature the quality of your audio at the same time as your presentation of the audio, which neither of them have to be fast. This is not a ridiculously commercial ecosystem. This is friends hanging out. So I don't care if it literally takes 20 plus episodes for you to stop saying every 5 seconds. I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine. And if somebody emails me and complains, you will never know about it, because the real truth is I wouldn't even add you to being an aaa@podnutz.com email until at least 30 shows are in the can, because you haven't truly made it in my eyes until you get hate email. Once you get people telling you how stupid you are, then you know that you made it. Where if I was, doing content moderation, you would never know such a thing is happening. You would just know, there's a little bit less emails. And yes, literally and utterly are maybe my two most abused favorite words ever. Before they were cuss words, but then when I started podcasting, I had to use something else. My wife, if anybody's going to ever stab me in the face, it's going to be her. She puts up with a lot. I'll just say that. She's shown unbelievable levels of patience. Levels of patience I swore was not obtainable by normal human beings. Yeah, she does good. She's right now watching the HBO I don't know, series Chernobyl. I watched maybe 10 minutes of it. I said, I can't watch any more of this. I don't watch things for stories. I don't watch things for fiction. I watch things for facts. I don't like stories. So I couldn't watch it anymore. Much too much feelings. Yeah, it's fine. Much too much feelings involved in that thing for me to watch it. So I skipped it. I did see a really good video from maybe John Green, maybe Hank Green. I want to say John Green, explaining what actually happened in Chernobyl in a factual type way. And that's all I want to know. I want to know the facts. I want to know the absolute, undiscernible, undeniable, agreed upon facts. Like there are certain things that we don't know, like the number of people dead, because we say one thing, independent authorities say another thing, and Russia says another thing. Which one's right? We really don't know. So he didn't even mention that in his video. He just mentioned how it's believed and agreed upon the actual thing happened, why it happened, um, and why that kind of thing basically should not happen again in any other type of reactor. So I thought that was a really interesting video. Yeah, I can't believe she hasn't killed me yet. Yeah, and I'll say this, 99.99% of the people who I've helped come on the Podnutz network, if they have podcast experience, typically I won't let them on the network just because, and I'll say this, the training I've had here for the last, couple months, the company admitted to me they like training people with as little experience as possible because it requires the least amount of unlearning, of tearing down things they learned, expectations, in order to teach them the way that they do things. So I think I'm kind of the same way. I like people who want to do podcast just because they want to do podcast, not because they come from some normal place of expectation where they they like expect certain things to be absolute with their podcast kind of thing. And I'll say this, I'm an utter realist in the download numbers. I'm shocked about how much so many people's numbers are completely inaccurate. And I can't call them out on it, because if I do call them out on it, I'm a jerk. While my son takes the father-in-law's dog out. Okay, this did do that, right? Let me see. Mark 1101. Yep, sure did. Close, close. Okay, that's good. Here comes the easy part from what I consider. Open recent, AAA. Zoom in. And this is the thing I think that is one of the truths with podcasting. So many other people who do podcasts either don't have a clue on how to edit a file, or don't have a clue on how to edit a file and keep any level of audio quality. The percentage of people who do podcasts, who are on a podcast, who have nothing to do with the editing process is only getting bigger. It's getting really bad. I know Mark's going to start right about here. Dang, I'm good. Okay, so zoom in nice and close. Badang. Split, split, delete, delete, click, click, drag to the blue, because it always needs to start at just about the exact same spot. Consistency is key. That was pretty quick, Bill. Did the dog actually go to the bathroom? Did he go poop? Poo. No? Well, I tell you, when we went to pick him up, whew, man, I think he emptied his large intestines. Okay, like Mark's audio is going to either be here, which I doubt. Okay, that's going to be here, which I expect. Yep, but let's first find the end of the audio, which looks like it should be right around here. Okay. Badang. Stop. Split. Split. Delete. Let's take this down to there. Come back to here. Zoom in a little bit. Split. Delete. Stardew Valley smartwatch. Oh, yeah. Red, let me tell you something. That was a fantastic time podcasting, too. Me, you, Buyer Brown, Spork Saber, which still is one of the best names ever, Spork Saber, and Tracy Holtz. Fantastic podcast. It was the most time I've learned during a podcast in my life. Because Tracy Holtz and Buyer Brown and Spork Saber all easily knew more than me about beer and brewing. Red and me were around the same level. We were just like, fans. Let me check the audio level. Oh, yeah. Well, that's obviously not right. Okay, so you got to make sure my audio and Mark's audio lines up, which should be as easy as that. Okay, I actually think that's close. Let me see this again. Oh, man, let me see. Yeah, that's a good one. Beer nuts. I want to do beer, but here's the problem. I don't know enough. We literally need somebody like Tracy Holtz or Spork Saber, because they're the only people I know that actually know the actual history of beer, not only the history of beer, but the actual world part of beer. What makes a sour beer a sour? What makes a Hefeweizen a Hefeweizen? Why is a lager a lager? When did the lager come to be? Who was the first person to do a lager? We don't know none of this information. It's really hard. Trust me, it's really hard. And there's a lot to it. They both opened my eyes a great deal. And I will say, for me to do a show about beer and to not have them in on it would be very difficult, because both of those were two of the smartest guys I ever talked to about beer. I just drink it. And yes, sour beers. Ooh, man, it takes a special kind of person to enjoy that funk, that absolute undeniable funk that comes from a sour beer. When I was in um Cambridge, Massachusetts, we went to Mead Hall. They had 3 sour beers on tap. I tried each one of those 3. Whew, man, they were too much. Couldn't do it. Yeah, American beer is a joke. 99% of American beers, it's really not even worth calling a beer. Okay, so the YouTube upload looks done. So now, while this is doing that, let me come over here to Patreon. And I'll say this, Ivor. Everybody needs to make sure that they keep a strong eye on Patreon, because it's difficult for them to do the right thing. It's hard for them to do the right thing. It's good for people to remind them that they're being watched, because they are very close to doing the wrong thing about a lot of things. So, I mean, you're not going to hear me outright defend them. You will hear me defend them in relation to other services, and that's it. Because there's plenty of other services out there that are 10 times worse. I just have a really hard time finding ones that are better. And honestly, the pain of moving to a different platform, that's hard. Video is posted to Patreon, badang-a-dang. Audio is nearly done being edited. That's good. That's nice. But Ivor, here's the thing I'll say. 99% of the things that I've seen Patreon censor, I'm fine. I'm perfectly fine with them censoring. Literally 99% of them, of what they're censoring, I don't want to see anyway. Wouldn't things I'd be searching out anyway. So, you know, and here's the thing. If I don't trust Patreon, the next most ubiquitous thing is PayPal. And if I rely too much on PayPal and something happens with my account there, no, I'm dead in the water. I'm literally like dead in the water. There's nothing more I can do. Okay, so we need to make sure that this file looks right. Yeah, because I mean, I don't trust YouTube and the YouTube membership service, and this might be the best looking audio I've seen in a long time. I mean, how it rarely peaks and levels out to where it's actually like touching the tops and bottoms. Look how infrequent that is. Look, just a little bit there, just a little bit there, just a little bit there, just a little bit there. That is fantastic. That is near beautiful audio. And how there's only a little bit of times when it actually dips lower. That's good. That's really good. Okay. I thoroughly appreciate good audio. And the only way I know how to identify good audio is by downloading Leo Laporte content in wave form kind of thing and looking at it in a editor like this. It was the only thing that gave me the idea. Well, and trust me, Ivor, I keep having my eye on what could potentially, I don't want to say unseat it, but be a replacement for it. I cannot expect people to do direct support mechanics. I'm not famous outside of podcasting. Everybody who can do schemes and schemas outside of well-known systems like Patreon are people who were already famous somewhere else. I've never in my life ever seen anybody be successful with only podcasting except for one person. John Lee Dumas is the only person who's been really successful, who didn't come from someplace else of success, whether it be journalism, whether it be TV, whether it be radio, whether it be sports, whether it be music, whether it be whatever, and be successful at podcasting is only one person, and not have to rely on extreme things like Patreon or like YouTube in order to stay afloat. Done exporting. I gotta say, man, this new computer is so damn nice. Close. 691 meg is perfectly fine. We come over here, do the actual transcoding because I'm a nerd. It's actually encoding, but any kind of encoding is transcoding, and any kind of transcoding is encoding. Neither one is wrong. And yeah, Leo has a good voice, but it's partially the editing that goes on, and it's partially the hardware that goes on. But a solid 30 to 40% of why he sounds good is just his experience of mic handling, mic technique, of being able to know with this mic, I have to keep everything at a certain distance. With this mic, I can turn my head to a certain degree, by this mic kind of thing. Half of podcasting audio quality has nothing to do with the computer, the file format, or anything else. It just has to do with how you manage your mouth versus the microphone. And with dynamic microphones like what I use, if you keep it literally pointed at the back of your throat kind of thing, and you stay reasonably close to your microphone, you can keep the gain, the volume turned down and still talk and sound clear, and it won't pick up a lot of background noises. That's the key to good audio, unless you can have a completely controlled environment. And if you can have a completely controlled environment, then you can have a condensing mic like Leo Laporte, to where you can move the thing all around and you can do all kinds of stupid stuff and your audio quality never changes. But that requires multi-$1,000 setup around your head. And, that's one of the things. And that's the thing, man. Leo, to me, wants to be honest about everything that he does. He only wants sponsors that he really does truly believe in, but it's really hard to turn down money when that's your sole source of income. He's one of those guys I honestly truly believe means nothing but the best for all of his listenership. It's just really hard to not do wrong by them sometimes. Okay. No. Nope. We need that. And then we need this. Permissions. I don't know why I even changed these because I don't believe it does anything. But we can get rid of all these. Don't need them. Control W. And now we need easy. Tag. Okay. 541. 542. And I notice how nobody is mentioning how the Pixel 4 is basically a Huawei device. Because none of these journalists even know what to talk about. They just know what they're told to talk about. How bad. How I pity on them. Such pity. Okay. Bang. 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 I'm always tempted to change this to where it says, I don't know if I should love you or hate you. I'm tempted to change it to, I don't know if I should love you. I don't know if I should thank you or hate you. ... Mark Zuckerberg needs eyebrows. Mark Zuckerberg's eyebrows. Mark Zuckerberg's lack of eyebrows. There you go. That's what I'm calling it. And, it's going to work. And Mark's going to download this audio in his $200,000 car or his $4 million boat and be like, who the hell is this? And he'll be like, well, kill his account. Well, sir, he doesn't have an account. What do you mean he doesn't have an account? 3,000. Okay. Okay. So now let's go stop sharing. Let's go up. Video. Let's go fix that horrible orange. Okay. So now let's go FileZilla. Connect. Upload. 542. Let's open up Patreon. Make sure we're logged in. Yep. Badang. Yes. Reload. Log in. Now let's go back to Studio YouTube. Seems like the safest place for me to copy the description, which I don't understand why. I swear the videos they suggest I watch when I load up YouTube Studio is nearly hysterical. It's really not. It's really depressing, but it's nearly hysterical. Like explaining monetization, explaining what a notification bell is. What? 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 Who's doing drugs and needs that explained to them? Oh, wait. Apparently, lots of people. Guess I shouldn't be shocked. Paste. That looks nice. Come over here. Copy. Post title required is right. Okay. Select audio file. Public. Audio. AAA 542. Add optional artwork. 720 by 480. Bang, bang, bang. Patrons only. Early access. 623. 901. Publish now. That's right. Take me to my post. Close that. Close that. Now let's go here to https podnutz.com. Reload. Log in. Yeah. I will say I'm going to try to sit with my boss at work here in the next couple weeks. And I'm going to ask her if she had to tell me one thing that she thought I was doing good, what would it be? And purposely like setting her up and then saying, okay, now if she was me, how would I encourage this administration to better utilize what I'm good at? Because I personally believe if they put me in a meeting where I have some semblance of authority, I do good in communication with people who we need stuff from, people who we need to be on board, people who we need buy-in from. I think I've been doing decent with that, which I will say kind of shocked me, but it's been kind of fun. I will say. Paste, looking good. Come over here, copy. Come over here, big money. Oh, dang it. None of the URLs are links, hyperlinks. So that sucks. So we have to click link for each one of these. Click link, enter. Click, click link, enter. Wow, this is a lot of clicks. Enter, 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 enter. Yep, each one of these hyperlinks. Where if I was really incompetent and my notes were only like 20 words long, I would have to worry about that. But because I'm not completely incompetent, I don't have to worry about all these. And that was a really good link, Red, china-prices.com. The simple fact that they show me all the carriers with each phone really makes my job of searching and filtering and finding what I consider to be devices to work on my network of choice much, much easier. I mean, crazily easier. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of that, Red. As, of course, you know, I'll say good looking out. Bang. Oh, man. This is not painful whatsoever. Dude, this is ridiculous. Okay. So now let's go. Bang, 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 bang. Let's see if this works. Kind of. Almost done anyway. What's the point? RSS feed. Phew, man. Wow, that's not painful at all. Publish not immediately. Publish 23, 23rd, 2001. Okay. Schedule. Oh, didn't do that right. Gotta change the actual file name, or else you're going to be downloading last week's show. 542. Let me check it here. 542 and 542 and update. Yep. Okay, so let me sign out of this. Yeah, I know. I know that's the whole thing, Ivor. Even 10 years ago, this was nearly unheard of, nearly impossible, like magical kind of thing. Or the video quality would be so unbelievably bad, you could fit it on like barely the size of your thumbnail in what we would consider high quality. It was ridiculous. So where now it's nonchalantly, oh yeah, okay, I can stream. While the barrier of entry has went down, unfortunately, the quality of some of the content also went down. But I didn't say that out loud, did I? Nope, sure didn't. Must have been somebody else. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay. Now, see this. Plug up this bad boy. Into this 10 foot plus cable. Plug it up. Power on. Come over here. Dang. I'll tell you what, man, this works just when this works. This works like remarkably good. That's all I'm gonna say. Remarkably good. I might literally have to like uninstall and reinstall to completely nuke the settings. And I think if I do this, I can actually hear the audio. Let me see. I think I'll be able to hear the audio. Let's see. Is it responding? Wait. Okay, I can hear it. So I completely wiped the gamepad settings. Hmm, nothing. I might have to nuke all the files and start over just to see what's going on. Take it easy, Josh. Well, I know, but that's part of the thing, Ivor. There really is no point of the game. The point of the game is whatever you decide the point of the game to be. See, so it looks the same. That looks exactly the same. And this is still that. So I don't see how they improved joypad. I mean, it still works technically. Sunny. Yeah, the point of the game is to just discover and evolve. Like, see, this is only, can't believe this game's only 10 days in. With almost no crops whatsoever. But I do have the upgraded backpack, which is at least a plus. So some of the times your game is decided on sorry, is decided on um just strictly farming skill. Sometimes it's fishing skill. Sometimes it's balance between everything and like personalities kind of thing. Sometimes it's just a completionist. Oh wait, I got all three of these. So let me make them come over here. Craft me some tasty bars because you know who doesn't like bars? Ah, crap. Okay, come back here. Let's put these back. Yeah, this game save file is so mature, it's ridiculous. But I do have a super meal. Ooh, +1 to speed. I need to save that because that thing's really good. Um, and the randomness of this game is something you either have to love or or you're going to hate. To where you know you could randomly come down to the screen below and find um, you know, something that you might only find 1 out of 10,000 days in playing. But you wouldn't have known it unless, you know, like a dinosaur egg is like uncommonly rare or a ancient artifact can be really rare. And then you got to know like on certain days come down here um see if you can buy like a coffee bean from the traveling merchant kind of thing. Um It and the reason I like this game is that there really is no death, there's no permadeath. If you go down into the mines where you can, like, actively fight, you actually can't die. If you die, you just get woken up in the doctor's office, and you lose, a small percentage of your goods, but you don't actually die. Uh, so I'm a fan of that. I kind of like how things can be hidden behind trees. It requires a little bit extra due diligence, be able to find all the little things. And if you really do have a really good eye, you'll be able to find things much quicker than normal players. Um, I just like the game because it requires at least a little bit of management, a little bit of insight, a little bit of planning. Um, it's called a farming simulator. I don't call it that. I call it a resource simulator because all you're really doing is just managing different resources to see if you can, plant enough crops to make enough money or fish enough things to go up another level or find enough artifacts to make your way into the sewer or go down far enough into mines to find, an extra weapon. It's all about just managing your resources. Cause like if you fish enough during the day, you better have yourself some food because you're gonna just go tired. You go into the mines, you better have food that has healing ability, or else, you might die or have to leave early. Ooh, a whole loaf of bread in the trash. This town is so wasteful. Abigail. Yeah, I check trash cans. What's it to you? You can find some really good stuff in trash cans. Yeah, so it doesn't look like the gamepad support is actually any different than it was earlier, even though it said enhanced gamepad support. I guess that means nothing to them. So this is week 10, and I don't have I don't even have the community center unlocked yet. That's bad. At least I think it is. I don't think the mines are unlocked either. Sometimes I have them unlocked by this date. And I will say the music in this game is maybe some of the most appropriate uh music in any game. It's a great gift. Thank you. You're all right, hobo. Everyone likes a hobo. Oh, the mines are open. And I do already have. Oh, cool. I already have stuff up here being smelted. What floor? Can't be far. Oh, I'm already at the 15. Wow, that's good. I'm shocked. Okay. Yeah, because around 15 to 25 is where you start finding the possibility of magnet rings and glow rings. Magnet rings are nice. Glow rings are what I really love. Oh, and I currently have a magnet ring. Yeah, small magnet ring, which is nice. It just means I don't have to go as close to things to pick them up. If I like chop down trees and stuff, uh, I just walk close to them and everything comes flying to me, which is always nice. Okay, so this looks like basically nothing's changed, really. No extra controller support, like I was hoping. I will still say I think this map is the best. Okay, I'm gonna turn this off. I'm not gonna save. And I really do wish that the Android version had co-op because co-op is cool. On PC, uh, co-op is like the killer app. There's just so much you can do online, so much easier than you can just by yourself with a team of people. You can destroy like plant easily 100 150 crops and water everything with no problems. All right, guys, I'm gonna cut the stream off. Thank you guys for coming out. No, I was actually playing it on the GPD Ivor, GPD XD. I do own it on the Switch. Honestly, the controls are not as good on the Switch, except for the mines. On the mines, the controls are much better, but on the overworld, the controls are much better on Android. Ain't no frozen Minecraft. I have no idea if you say so. Do you have a fro when you were young, Door? No. No, I never had a fro. I'm Irish. Irish people don't really have froze. All right, guys, I'm going to kill the stream. Thank you guys for coming out. I love you guys. Be safe.